queen of the most powerful nation in the world! And my entire family is gone! Have I not given everything?
Arguably the most anticipated movie of the year arrives in theaters this week. Marvel Studios' Black Panther: Wakanda Forever has fans very excited, although the film has a major challenge in the real-world death of star Chadwick Boseman. Now, the film does begin with an appropriate sense of mourning for the loss of the king, and before moving on to the central question of which character will rise up and accept the mantle of the Black Panther.
Stop! Right there! Who are you? And how did you get in here?
Somebody needs to rise up quickly, as the king of an underwater city is attacking anybody living on dry land, including those in Wakanda. This conflict drives the main plot and gives the film its major action set pieces. Now, the action is good, and the world building is superb. It's nice to catch up with the characters from the first movie. If I'm being honest, the film misses Chadwick Boseman's heart and struggles to live up to the legacy of the original movie. That happens a lot in sequels. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is still very good, and fans will be happy, but it's not quite on the same level as the original Black Panther.
Where is your spear?
Shuri gave me this to try. You know, I like them better.
And that's what's new this week in the movies. I'm Sean McBride, the movie guy.
And let's talk about Wakanda.
Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, yes, right. So,
All the
look,
hype.
this is a very challenging movie because not only was it a billion-dollar franchise
Yeah.
for Marvel Studios when it came out in 2018, but of course, Chadwick Boseman passed away in the real world. And so you've got your star, who is inarguably the heart of that first show. He's no longer around. And so what do you do? Now, I'm so glad they didn't pull the Bewitched and just replace the actor and just pretend like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Instead, they deal with it in the movie, and there's kind of a funereal pall that hangs over a lot of this movie, unfortunately.
We were talking about this earlier. Do you think part of that not changing and doing the, a new person, same character, was just the fact that A, there had only been one. It wasn't like it was a series where you'd had 5 installments so you could change a character. And B, it was so fresh and he was so powerful as not only just an actor, but a presence in his community and in the film community.
Right, yeah. I mean, there had only been one, but there had been, he was in the Infinity,
Right. Well,
so he's
true.
been in other movies. But I think that's exactly it. He was so good in that first film, the 2018 film, that I think you can't do it. And by not just recasting the role, they get us a very interesting, a unique opportunity to deal with issues of succession, which we don't see a lot, sometimes in the comic books, but we don't see them in movies, where the idea is who's going to step up and assume the mantle of responsibility of the Black Panther in this community. And there are, it's interesting because I didn't know who it was officially, but I kind of knew who it was for the last 4 or 5 months, and I wasn't really searching for it. So I don't think it's really, I'm not going to spoil it, just in case. But there are 4 or 5 women in particular that look like contenders for this.
Which were the prominent players in the previous movies.
And it's kind of fascinating because whereas the first movie is about Black Panther, it's about T'Challa, this time we spend a lot more time with his little sister, Princess Suri, with the general of the Dora Milaje, Okoye, with all these characters, or the queen, and even some new characters. And it's really a girl power movie this time around. It's the women who drive this thing. We do get a little bit more of M'Baku, who is the fun king of the gorilla type tribe, whatever. I think that's fun. And, the interesting thing is we get also a new civilization here. It's an underwater civilization.
Oh.
Basically, it's like the lost city of Atlantis, but done with a Mayan feel to it. So this is a war between these two civilizations. And I think that works fine. I mean, I like the battle sequences here. But I think it's kind of interesting that you have to set up a brand new world. And I loved when they set up the world of Wakanda before because that was so visually stunning. This time, I don't think the underwater stuff works as well, partially because underwater is always dark. And so even on a big screen, I saw in the movie theaters, it's kind of hard to see what's going on. I think it's overstuffed. It's 2 hours and 41 minutes, and I think they probably could have cut an hour of this, and I would have been fine. Or leaned into it and made it a 2-parter, and I would have been fine with that as well. We always discuss.
But there'll be no shortage of audience for this film.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter how you make it.
Yeah,
So,
with apologies to Mr. Cruise, Top Gun Maverick was not the most anticipated film of the year. This is the most anticipated
Oh, I
film.
think
Absolutely.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
I think so, too.
I think you're right. You could say that this movie was the worst movie you ever saw in your entire life. theaters are still going to be packed.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that. She
No.
said that.
No, I
I'm
didn't
not
say
saying
that either. I didn't see it. No.
How would you, I mean, if you were grading it, and I'll just give you, let's say you could use 4 stars, where would you
Yeah.
put this movie?
That's exactly what I did, and I gave it 3 stars. And
Okay.
I think it's a good movie. I think it has the problems that most sequels have, that they never quite live up to the level
Right.
of the
Yeah.
first film. So, like I said, the world building is very good, but not quite as interesting as the first time around. The characters are very interesting, but not quite as good as they were the first time around. The action is good. There are no war rhinos in this one
Yeah.
that suddenly everyone goes, "Oh, that was so cool," you know.
Right.
So it's just kind of like that sequel thing. It misses. You miss the new car smell of a movie
Yeah.
sometimes. And look, I think it's good. I just don't think it's quite up to the same
So it's kind
level
of the
as first one.
sophomore thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think it's kind of like that the pressure, right, of Chadwick Boseman and kind of having to live up to that and how good he was in the first movie.
It was amazing, the heart of that first
Yeah.
movie. And so you have these characters trying to step into that role, and I just don't think they're quite as adept at
All
it.
right, now this is obviously the movie of the week, but there is one more that is opening as well.
There are several more, but I guess the
Right.
biggest one, if you're looking for something, you're not going to go to the theater, looking at you, Dan, there is a romantic comedy. It's Lindsay Lohan who's trying to resuscitate her career.
Yeah.
She can speak. She's got a rom-com. Do you remember the old movie Overboard with Goldie Hawn? Right, it's the same concept. She's a rich woman. She's at a ski resort. She falls down. She bunks her head. She ends up being taken in by the hunky guy down at the bottom of the hill. She falls in love with this guy that she would never have talked to when she remembered how rich and how privileged she was. It's not good. I mean, let's not pretend that this
Sorry,
is a great
Lindsay.
movie. But it's fine. I mean, it's a mediocre film. It's got some Christmas. It's got some rom-com.
Yeah.
It's mindless. Turn off your brain and enjoy it.
Okay,
But,
that's
yeah.
what I thought it was, like a Christmas movie from
Yeah.
like I've only seen the posters of it,
You
really.
put Christmas in the title. It's a Christmas
Right,
movie.
yeah.
So,
There you go. All right, I do want to mention there are a couple of things that we've talked about this
yeah.
week that are streaming this week that might be of note because people are always looking. One is called The English, which is on Amazon Prime, which has some major players in it.
Yeah.
Emily Blunt is
yeah.
the character, which is the story of an English woman who is privileged, who comes to America and makes a trek across the Wild West.
Okay.
And 4 episodes, so it won't take you all weekend, and
Yeah.
people will binge it. You
Yeah,
know, that
right.
is.
Sure, yeah.
And the other one I've heard about is called Inside Man.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, which is on Netflix.
Okay.
And Stanley Tucci is
Oh,
in this
that's
one.
right.
And for a lot
You
of
said
people,
that.
that's enough. They're Stanley
Right.
Tucci fans. That
Sure.
might be enough for you.
Which aren't Emily Blunt and Stanley Tucci related?
Oh, I don't know that.
I
Are
don't know
they?
that either.
I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I think they are.
She's making stuff up.
Yeah,
right
I
I'm
think
pretty
so
sure.
too. I don't know. They both like Italian food.
There you go.
No.
What more do you need?
No, it's
Oh my
someone.
goodness, I like Italian food too. Maybe she's my cousin.
6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Apparently, a couple of those degrees are in
He's
the...
someone's.
Okay.
I'll look it up. I don't know.
Please do. 8:38, but again, those are out streaming. But if you want to go to the theater, there's just one movie probably that
you
will
go.
dominate. All right, thanks, Sean.
Sure.
As always, Sean McBride, the movie guy, drops by every Friday to
yeah.
talk about what's new in entertainment.